Good morning, friends. Welcome to the next lecture of functional analysis. In the last lecture, we have seen Reed's lemma and Reed's theorem. Actually, Reed's theorem is giving us an important characteristics regarding identifying the given nonlinear space to be finite dimensional. That is, if a closed bounded sets are compact in a given nonlinear space, then the space is finite dimensional. This is a statement of Reed's theorem we have proved in the last lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to understand what is functional and what is Hahn-Banach lemma. Okay. Therefore, in today's lecture, we will start with first a definition of a functional. Okay. As the paper name, we have functional analysis. We know what is function. Okay. What is function? Function is a relation from a set A to B. There is a mapping denoted by say F. Then for every point in the domain, there exists a unique image in the codomain. Is called as a functional. Is called as a function. Now, for functional, we can have a definition as a continuous linear transformation. A continuous linear transformation small f from a non-linear space n to either R or C, that is a scalar field, is called functional. Is called functional. Okay. Therefore, how many properties this functional is going to possess? First of all, the function is defined on a non-linear space n. Okay. And the codomain of the mapping is either R or C. Real valued, that is the function is real valued or complex valued. And as we know, both the spaces are complete. Okay. Next, the properties possessed by the mapping are the mapping is continuous and as well as linear. As it is linear, this continuous is implies and implied by bounded. Therefore, one can say this mapping may be bounded linear transformation. Mapping is bounded linear transformation. Therefore, in short, functional is a mapping defined on a non-linear space and is a scalar valued mapping which is continuous and linear both, or bounded and linear both, right? Therefore, we have already seen a notation for the mappings which are bounded and linear is defined as B of n to either R or C. Okay. Now, this is the collection of all bounded linear transformations from n to R or C. And as per our definition, these are the functional. Therefore, elements in this set are called as functionals. Are called as functional. And this set of all bounded linear transformations or set of all continuous linear transformations from n to either R or C is denoted by n star and is called a conjugate space. Is called a conjugate space or dual space or adjoint space. Is called as adjoint space. Collection of all functionals is called conjugate space, dual space or adjoint space. Okay. And as we know, this R and C are the complete spaces. We have seen the theorem. Na? If Y is complete, implies B of XY is complete. B of XY is complete. Okay. With this theorem, as the codomain of the functionals is either R or C, both are the complete spaces. Therefore, one can say that n star is a complete space. Therefore, n star is a Banach space. N star is a Banach space. This is a nonlinear space under the operator norm that we know already as we have proved. And what is the definition of an operator norm? We have seen This is supremum norm T of x on the condition norm x is less than or equals to 1, x is in x, right? Therefore, under this definition of operator norm, n star is a norm linear space, and and the codomain either R and C are complete spaces. Therefore, this will be a complete space. Therefore, together it can contribute that n star is a Banach space. Okay, understood this construction? N star is the set of all functionals. Functional is a continuous linear transformation defined on n, which is either real valued or complex valued, right? And as the codomain R and C are complete, n star itself forms a Banach space. Therefore, set of all functionals is a norm linear space and hence a Banach space. Okay. Similarly, one can find out the conjugate space of n star. One can find out the conjugate space of n star. Okay, this is a conjugate space of n. This is conjugate space of a mapping of a space n. Now, how will we define conjugate space of n star? Conjugate space of n star will be denoted by n double star, and it will be the collection of all bounded linear transformations from n star to either R or C. Okay, and this is called as second conjugate space of n. This is called as second conjugate space of n. Okay, we'll come to the second conjugate space later. In today's lecture, we want to understand the definition of functional clearly, and then we want to proceed to Hahn-Banach lemma. Okay, using this lemma, we are going to prove Hahn-Banach theorem, where Hahn-Banach theorem is giving us the rich potential of supply of functionals defined on any normed linear space. Okay, one may be worried why the name is Hahn-Banach, right? This theorem was actually given by a pair of mathematicians, Hans Hahn, let me write their names, by the pair of mathematicians Hans Hahn and Stefan Banach. Stefan Banach were the pair of mathematicians who have proposed this lemma and theorem. According to this theorem, one may create number of linear functionals on a non-empty normed linear space. How that we will come to the theorem later, but before that we should go for its lemma. Therefore, let me write Hahn-Banach lemma. This is Hahn-Banach lemma. Okay. Let me write the statement of the lemma. Let M be a linear space or a subspace. M be a linear subspace of a normed linear space capital N, and F be a linear functional. Functional is also called as a linear functional because it possesses the property linearity. Therefore, F be a linear functional defined on M, defined on capital M. X not be element not in M. Okay, and if M naught is the linear space spanned by M and X naught, then prove that F can be extended to a functional F naught on M naught such that norm of F naught is equal to norm of M. Okay, this is what a statement is. If we look at the statement very carefully, how many things are given to us? M is the linear subspace of a normed linear space N. Here let me write M is subspace of a normed linear space N, and F is a functional defined on the subspace N. Okay, and there exists one element x naught which is not in M, which is not in M, and M naught is a space spanned by M and x naught. M and x naught means M naught will be a space spanned by the elements of M and x naught, rather the basis of M and x naught. Okay, then we want to prove that the functional f can be extended to a functional f naught. Therefore, here we are using a extension function. I'll just quickly tell you what is an extension function or what is the restriction function. Okay, here suppose we have a set A and suppose here we have a subset B. Okay, and if f is a function we have defined on A and g is a function defined on B, then this function f is called as an extension of g. This function f defined on A is called as an extension of g if f of x is equal to g of x for all x in B. For all x in B means for the elements of the set B, both f and g works equally or works same. Then in that case f is called as an extension of g or g is called as an restriction of f. Here also we are using that function, extension function. Okay, now for this subset M of N, it is given that there exists one element which is not in M. Therefore, let us draw a sketch here. Okay, this is a subset M. Wait. Okay, let this be a subspace M of a normed linear space N. Okay, somewhere here be x naught, not an element of M. Now M naught is the space we are obtained by spanned by M and x naught. Therefore, let me just denote somewhere here will be our M naught, the space spanned by M and x naught. Therefore, let me write M naught here. Therefore, surely M will be a subspace of M naught again. And one more thing is given to us, that on the subspace M, there is a functional defined called f. Now, our aim is to prove that on M naught, we have a functional, say f naught, and this is an extension of f. This is an extension of f. That is, f is extended to a functional f naught where norm values of both the functionals are equal. This much we want to prove. Okay, is the thing clear with what is given and what to prove? M is linear subspace of N. X naught is an element not in M. Then M naught is a space spanned by M and X naught. Then the functional f can be extended to f naught where the norm values of both the functionals are same. Here I have drawn a neat sketch in order to understand the statement very clearly. Okay, coming to the proof, what is given? M is the linear, sorry, M naught is the linear space spanned by M and x naught. M and x naught. Therefore, how can I write the construction of the elements in set? Let me write it as M plus alpha x naught. Means it's a linear combination of element of capital M and x naught. Let me write here, small m is an element of M and alpha be a scalar taken from the corresponding field, right? Therefore, this is a construction of an element M. We have written this to be a linear combination of elements of M and x naught. Then, if I am going to start with suppose omega be any element of M naught, Then how can I write omega or W? This is m plus alpha x naught for some alpha in k. For some alpha in k. Okay. Now we are ready to prove the lemma. But in order to prove the lemma, we will consider two different cases. Rather, the proof we will give separately for real and complex scalars. Therefore, here we will start with first with real scalars. Therefore, case 1. What is case 1? K is equal to R, field of real numbers. Field of real numbers. Okay, now we will try to understand the first case, field of real number. Therefore, may I say N is real normed linear space. N is real normed linear space. Now we'll try to define a mapping F naught on M naught to R. Mapping F naught on M naught to R. How many conditions to verify? Continuity and linearity. Continuity and linearity, and proving F naught is extension of F, and finally we will prove norm F is equals to norm of F naught. Okay, therefore first we'll try to define the mapping, right? What is the nature of element in M naught? This is M plus alpha x naught. Therefore let me write F naught of omega, that is F naught of M plus alpha x naught. Now, our aim is to prove the mapping F naught is linear, continuous, and it is an extension. Therefore, we will define F naught in such a way that all the properties should get verified in a simple manner, right? Therefore, if F naught is linear, how it is going to work on this linear combination? This is F naught of M plus alpha times F naught of x naught. But as it is an extension for the elements of M, F and F naught may be equal. Therefore, F naught is equal to, F naught of M is equal to F of M. Alpha is the scalar taken as it is. And let us assume that F naught mapped onto X naught will be some R naught. F naught mapped into X naught is some R naught, and that F naught, that R naught must be a real number, must be a real scalar. Why? Because F naught has a codomain real numbers. Okay, therefore the mapping we have defined in such a way that this will be an extension and linear as well. Therefore nothing to worry about proving both the results. Okay, now let me go for proving all the claims one by one. Let me repeat again how many claims we have. First step, we will prove F naught is linear. Secondly, we will prove that it is an extension, and proving either continuous and bounded actually will be covered in the last part. In the last part, we will prove, our aim is to prove norm F is equal to norm of F naught. While proving this third step, it will be automatically proved that F naught is bounded. Okay. Therefore, let me write claim 1 to prove that F naught is linear. How to start by proving F naught is linear? Let me start with two arbitrary elements, say W1 and W2 of M naught. If I am writing both the elements of M naught, what will be W1? Say this is M1 plus alpha 1 x naught. What will be W2? Say M2 plus alpha 2 x naught. Okay, where I can write M1, M2 both are the elements of capital M, and alpha 1, alpha 2 are the real scalars. Now let me start with the linear combination. Now F naught of, say, W1 plus beta W2. W1 plus beta W2. Let us write what is W1. This is M1 plus alpha 1 x naught. M1 plus alpha 1 x naught plus beta times this is m2 plus alpha 2 x naught. In order to take a f naught image of this linear combination, we'll recall the definition. F naught image of m plus alpha x naught is defined as, first, f image of an element in m, alpha taken as it is, x naught will be mapped to r naught. Therefore, here also, first we will collect all the elements of m together. Therefore, this is m1 plus beta m2 in one bracket. Okay. And what is the coefficient of x naught? The coefficient of x naught will be alpha 1 plus beta alpha 2. Right? Now just go with the definition. Definition says that this is f of m1 plus beta m2 plus the scalar taken as it is alpha 1 plus beta alpha 2, and x naught will be mapped to a real scalar, say r naught. It was just by the definition. But we know f itself is linear. Therefore, can we write this as f of m1 plus beta times f of m2. Here also we will have a multiplication by r naught. This is alpha 1. I'll just erase this. This is alpha 1 r naught plus beta times alpha 2 r naught. Okay. Now we will take the terms with beta in one bracket, without beta in one bracket. Therefore, this will be f of m1 plus this term I will take alpha 1 into r naught. Now we will collect the coefficients of beta in one bracket, that is f of m2 plus alpha 2 into r naught. Okay, f of m1 into alpha 1 of r naught, if we just look at the definition again, if it is f of m1 into alpha r naught, this is f naught of m1 plus alpha x naught. Therefore, may I write this is f naught of m1 plus alpha 1 x naught plus beta taken as it is. This is f naught of m2 plus alpha 2 of x naught. But what is m1 of alpha 1 x naught? We have defined. This is w1, and second this is f naught of w2. Thus f naught is linear. Thus we have proved that f naught is linear. Okay. Now coming to the second claim. Claim 2. What is my claim 2? F naught is an extension of f. As I have already explained you, any mapping will be an extension of another mapping if it works same for the base set. Okay. Therefore, here what is the base set? Let me draw the sketch again. Let this be m and this be m naught. A functional f defined on m and a functional f naught is defined on m naught. Therefore, f naught is an extension of f if f naught and f are same or equal for the elements of m. Therefore, what we want to verify? F naught is equals to f on the base set m. Okay. For that, let us start with an arbitrary element m in m, and we will consider f naught image of that m. But to apply f naught, we will try to write the element as m plus 0 times x naught. M plus 0 times x naught. And what is the f naught image of this now? This is f of m plus the scalar taken as it is, and x naught is mapped to r naught. But 0 into r naught is 0, and fm plus 0 will be f of m. Therefore, here we have proved f naught of m is equal to f of m for the elements of f. Therefore, I can write f naught is equals to f on m. Thus, f naught is an extension of f. Second condition we have proved. Now, let us claim the third result. What is the third one? Claim 3. Norm of f naught is equal to norm of f. To prove the result, we will prove both the inequalities, two inequalities going in opposite direction. That is, first we will prove norm f naught is greater equal by norm f, and later we will prove norm f is less equal by norm of f naught. Sorry, norm f naught is less equal. Okay. Wait for a minute, I'll just rewrite that inequality. First, we will prove norm f naught is greater equal by norm f, and secondly, we will prove norm f naught is less equal by norm f. Okay. Now, first we'll go for the first inequality to prove. Therefore, consider norm of f naught. What is the definition of norm, operator norm we have seen? I'll just recall the definition here. Definition of operator norm is norm t is equal to supremum norm t of x on the condition x is in the domain x and norm x is less than or equals to 1, where x is given to be a normed linear space, and this is the norm working on the linear space x, right? Now we want to find norm of f naught, but we know that the f naught image of any vector f naught of x is belonging to either R or C, and both are the scalar fields, and we very well know that on these scalar fields the norm acting is a modulus. The norm acting is a modulus. Therefore, here instead of taking norm of t of x, here we will take modulus. Therefore, this is supremum norm, supremum, just wait. This is supremum mod f naught of x on the condition x belongs to m naught and norm x is less than or equals to 1. Norm x is less than or equals to 1. Okay, just check what is the difference we have made in the two definitions. This is the actual definition of operator norm we have studied, right? And this is what we are using now. Only change is, as x is a norm linear space here, therefore norm t of x we have taken, knowing norm is a norm acting on the norm linear space x. But here f naught image is belonging to either R or C, and on these norm as on these spaces we know that the modulus is the norm acting. Modulus is the norm acting, right? Therefore, this is supremum mod f naught of x. X belongs to m naught. Norm x is less than or equals to 1. Okay. Therefore, that simply changes. Instead of norm, here I have used modulus. Now, I want to change the space from m naught to m. Therefore, what is the effect on this equation? If A is a superset of B, if A is a superset of B, then we know suprema of A is greater equal by suprema of B. Same kind of relation here we are using. M is a subspace of M naught. Therefore, suprema on M naught is greater equal by suprema defined on M. Therefore, may I write this is supremum mod f naught of x on the condition x is in M, norm x is less than or equals to 1. Norm x is less than or equals to 1. Okay. Now look at this step what we have written. Supremum, the base field we have, base set we have changed from M naught to M. That's why equal to becomes greater equal here. But as now we are dealing with only the elements of M, what is the effect on M f naught? It will be simply F, right? Therefore, may I write this as supremum mod f of x, x is in M and norm x is less than or equals to 1. Norm x is less than or equals to 1 because for the elements of M we have already written f is equal to f naught on M in the previous step. Therefore, what is the if you look at the set on the right side, what it is constructed with? May I say this is nothing but norm of F. Therefore, we first inequality we have proved that norm of F naught is greater equal by norm of F, and let me call this as inequality number 1. Let me call this as inequality number 1. Now, to go for the reverse part of the inequality, proving norm F naught is less equal by norm F. This we will continue in the next lecture. This was a big lengthy lemma. That's why I am cutting it into 2 pieces, right? If you have any difficulty till now, you please tell me. Thank you for watching today's lecture.